Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have yet another example of what it means to have an identity crisis because Netflix, the same people who decided to come out with One Piece, which everybody loved and adored because they respected the source material as much as humanly possible, and any changes that were made to the show were given with the blessing of the creator. You have One Piece that shows you exactly what happens when you give the fans what they want, and now Netflix is doing yet another Netflix where they have to go back to their roots. They cannot just make good content because if they do that, then people are going to start questioning, whether or not they actually stand by their woke ideologies. No, they do. They 100% do. And we have an example of it. So this article here from the Publica says Netflix accused of race swapping after replacing investigators who took down Purdue Pharma during opioid crisis with a fictional black woman. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they decided to not only race swap, but they decided to take out the people who took down this particular pharma group completely out of the story and replaced it with a chick. And they probably made her gay. So let's get into the article, guys, from the Publica. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And like the video to push us out into the YouTube algorithm. Now, with that being said, this picture is all too real, right? Like you see this happen over and over again to the point where it's not even funny anymore, right? Like we used to be able to laugh at this stuff, and I still kind of do, right? I still kind of get a little bit of enjoyment out of it, out of the roasting session that usually follows when things like this happen. But this is just a prime example of what they're starting to do, because now it's not about fictional characters anymore. No. They're not just race swapping fictional characters. We're not just race swapping fictional stories. We're actually race swapping and changing actual real stories for diversity now. Yes, we are literally putting in people that were never there and pretending as if they were and trying to sell you a BS story, because clearly what people want to see is lies and nonsense when it comes to a true story. So it says Netflix is under fire once again for race swapping following the release of their new series Painkiller, a dramatized retelling of massive lawsuit filed against Purdue Pharma over opioid manufacturing. In the series, the investigators who took down the company are erased and instead depicted by one singular fictional black woman. Tudum, the companion website to Netflix, describes the plot of the suspenseful drama as being inspired by true events and people, following the victims and perpetrators whose lives have been altered by Purdue Pharma, the business behind OxyContin. Now, inspired by true events and people. Well, they definitely forgot the second part, okay? It's very clear that they forgot the second part, or they chose to ignore it. Most likely that is the case. They're just choosing to ignore it, and they know that by doing this, they're going to get a lot of clicks. They're going to get a lot of headlines over it. I mean, look, we're making a video on it, right? Like, they know this is going to be a thing. But let's be real. This doesn't benefit your show as much as they think it does, right? We've seen time and time again that viewership numbers completely tank after the first episode because people get their hate watch fix and then they go on about their day. And the viewership tanks so much to the point where people almost never finish a season of the series at all. Like Rings of Power, 30% finished the entire show. 30%. It's insanely bad for TV shows like that. So this TV show, I guarantee you, is not going to do very well at all. And if it does, I would be highly surprised. But the fact that they're race swapping real people, and it's not just race swapping, they completely erase them. I want to be very clear. They completely erased them from the story. Dual investigators. There were probably more than just two investigators that took down a big group like Big Pharma, but still, they replaced it with one singular black woman who was guaranteed going to toss herself around as if she owns the place. In this series, actress Uza Aduba, I hope I said that right, plays Eddie Flowers, an investigator determined to bring a case against Purdue and hold those responsible for the opioid epidemic accountable. Audience response to the series has been lackluster, with a Rotten Tomato rating score of 61% and an even lower official tomato meter score of 51%, stating that the show honors the victims of the opioid crisis with effective dramatic beats, but is undermined by stale satirical flourishes, resulting in a totally confused bit of muckraking. One social media user made a point to highlight that although the show is based on real events surrounding the conspiracies of Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family, the creators failed to represent some of the investigators who were at the heart of the case, instead replacing the real figures with a singular black female character. So a preview for the Netflix show Painkiller thriller about Purdue Pharma and noticed the story's intrepid, wily hero Eddie Flowers is a black girl boss fed prosecutor who single-handedly takes down the Sackler family, and thought it was weird that I'd never heard of this person and that she's not a more prominent public figure since she perfectly ticks every single liberal fantasy box, strutting, cunning, courageous, sassy, and who outsmarts her evil big pharma antagonist. But of course, when I looked it up, it turns out Eddie Flowers isn't real at all. They just made her up completely. And is anybody surprised? I mean, listen, this oh my god, this looks like Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, at this point, this is really just a joke. This is a massive joke that they continue to perpetrate because they need diversity, they need equity, they need inclusion, they need the ESG scores, they need all this other stuff. And if they are going to make sure that they put out shows like One Piece, there has to be some sort of subsidization going on. They have to subsidize their good shows with a whole bunch of woke nonsense. That's what they have to do. They have to get their ESG scores up. They cannot risk losing that. So they're going to put out TV shows like this where they are literally going to take a real story and not only completely race swap it, but also completely change it, and then have the audacity to fucking put in the beginning of the show based on true events and real names and real people. Are you kidding me? Really? You put a completely fictional person in there to make this into this big diversity story that never happened. Like, that's basically what you're doing. You want to make it seem as if one singular black female took down an entire family and took down an entire crime organization or whatever the case may be. That never happened at all. It says another user writes, it's contrived, predictable, and boring at this stage. Almost every new American TV series or movie with a character that is a judge, mayor, chief of police, head of FBI will have a black woman in that role. It doesn't reflect the diversity of real life in any way. I agree with that 100%, but that's the whole point, right? It's the whole "we was Kangs" meme, right? We was Kangs. They want to make it seem as if there is a certain level of diversity in many different aspects of life when we know that is not the case, and we know that's not the truth. If you look in real life, that is not statistically even close to being true. But they want to live in this whole fantasy land and sell you a BS fake story about people needing to see themselves. They need to see themselves. Oh, okay, so that's what it's going to take. It's going to take black people seeing themselves in a completely made up fake story that's supposedly based on true events to make them want to become what? An investigator? Highly doubt it, bro. Highly doubt it. They're still going to be dreaming about playing basketball. They're not going to want to be an investigator just because they saw themselves in a bullshit based on true events fake TV show. It's just not going to happen. According to Screen Rant, the decision to erase the real investigators and substitute in a fictional character was for the sake of their story, and that the creators of the show needed to ensure that the hero of the television series had one singular face, and that is where Abduba as Eddie came in. That is such bullshit. That is such bullshit. If you wanted to make it a singular face, you damn sure could have made it based on one of the investigators at least, right? If there was multiple investigators, you could have picked one of them. Even if you wanted to pick the woman, you could have picked one of them if there was a woman involved, threw her name in there, but unfortunately she's most likely a straight white woman, so that's not gonna work. Just admit it, bro. Like, that's the worst thing about all of this, like this whole fake diversity nonsense. They just won't come out and admit that that's what they want to do. Just admit it. At least I will be able to respect you by telling the truth. But no, you want to hide behind it, and you want to pretend as if you're not doing something, right? Like, you want to pretend as if it's freaking raining when you're literally pissing on my head, you know? Like, it's obvious that you are lying, so just fucking say it. Just say it. In an interview with Tudum, Aduba said the world of Eddie Flowers, who is a fictitious person but is a composite of a number of investigators, runs alongside the very real Richard Sackler. Having those points of intersection where the two worlds come together was incredibly impactful and powerful. The investigators Aduba's character represents, who played a groundbreaking role in the case against Purdue Pharma, includes Assistant U.S. Attorneys Owen Foster and Michael Drescher, in addition to other staff members, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the funny thing. So I guarantee you that the person they decided to keep the name, right, who is, I'm assuming, one of the criminals in the entire organization, Richard Sackler, because they were talking about the Sackler family, guarantee you he's a white male. Guarantee you, 100% is a white male. So of course, they kept the evil guy who's in charge of the crime family. They made sure to keep his name correct, and they damn sure made to keep his race correct. But the hero of the story, I can't even take it serious. The hero of the story is a hardcore, strong, independent, black female girl boss. This is literally South Park all day long. They put a chick in it and they made it lame. I don't know if they made it gay, but they damn sure made it lame. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.